right, so this is the A camera and Sony FX30. This is basically a cinema camera, and now it looks the part and has all the pieces to match. So I'm going to take you through how I set this up, all the parts included. A lot of the parts are from SmallRig. I'll probably say it a couple times. SmallRig does not sponsor this video. They have not sponsored this video. I just happen to have a lot of SmallRig parts. I purchase SmallRig parts because they are very good at innovating and creating necessary parts and bits and pieces for a cinema camera or for a camera overall at a very reasonable price. Tilta is also a great brand. Condor Blue is also a great brand. Newer, Ulanzi, they all make great parts. But I keep coming back to SmallRig because of the reliability. So take that as it is. You can use whatever versions of these parts that suit you. I am just showing you how I rig my camera up because I love these videos. I'm fascinated by cinema rigs, and I will oftentimes watch these videos and make slight adjustments to my rig because I see something that makes a little more sense or will improve efficiency, and it's all about efficiency. That's the name of the game. So I will try to link all the parts that I can find in the description. The links in this description will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra, but it does help to support the channel. If I get a little kickback from you purchasing using my link. So stay tuned. Let me show you how I turn just a basic mirrorless body into a cinema camera. All right, so got our trusty multi-tool. All right, this is a SmallRig multi-tool. On the camera itself, it is a SmallRig cage. This is the full cage or the half cage by SmallRig, so it doesn't have a top piece, and that's because it will have the top handle that goes into these two top screws, and you'll see that in a second. I do like this cage because it also has this little lever door here if you need to remove the battery. All right, so it doesn't obstruct your battery, which is cool. That is, I think, very necessary. Comes with this cool little tool to make sure you can tighten any of the points. Also has a clamp here for holding onto your HDMI cable so it doesn't get yanked out, and so it's also not moving around and disrupting the port. Also pretty important. So let's put this bad boy together. Right now I have the Tamron 28-75 lens on the camera. This lens tends to stay on my camera most often, so that's the lens of choice. So first thing that needs to go on the camera is the rod plate, right? This is a 15mm rod plate. So I use two screws to make sure it's not twisting. One is a 1/4-20 and the other is what do you call that? 3/8, I think. So we just need to line these up. By the way, I will try to have all these bits and pieces linked below. Next thing I like to do is the tripod plate. So that is a similar scenario where it has a 1/4-20 and all right, so that's it for the base plate and the tripod plate. Next up, the rods. Again, also from SmallRig. I need to make sure the rods are not too far forward because they will bump against the Matbox, and I'll kind of show you that later on. So right about at the tip of the lens, and then tighten down. Trying to make sure they're flush. Next up is the plate for a V-mount plate. I have a couple versions of these. I do have the small rig and the newer versions that kind of have the plate, the base that slides onto the camera and then tilts back and forth. I am preferring this particular plate when I'm using a tripod rig for the 8 camera. So this slides forward. You do have to remember to pull the door out before you go all the way in. So right around here. I used to put a Arca Swiss clamp in between the base plate and the camera, but what I found is when I did that, the camera door would be risen up, would be higher, and so it'd be bumping against this release button, but I want it to be flush against the screen, to be flush against the housing here. So what I am planning to do as well is to get some glue and just glue a piece of rubber here just to make sure I'm not damaging the screen, because you don't want to do that, right? So V-mount plate is on. We're going with a newer V-mount battery. That's locked in. Now it's time for the top handle. I did purchase the small rig extension kit. It comes with this NATO rail at the top. It has this like wrap around because it lengthens the grip of the top handle, so you have a better grip. It also is more sturdy because there's more metal pieces attached. These meet this part here that again reinforces everything. It's a well thought out a piece of adjustment from Small Rig. I don't know why Small Rig had to think of it and not Sony, but it is what it is. So top handle slides in, and then you use these screws to get that top handle secured. So you just kind of do an initial tighten with your fingers, and then I like to come in with the flat head and kind of tighten that down. All right, being that we put on the top handle, let's go with shotgun mic. Shotgun mic of choice is the Audio-Technica AT. It says AT875R, and I like it. It's a pretty good shotgun mic. So thing with most shotgun mics and the Sony shotgun mic holder is it doesn't hold it. It's flimsy, right? So you kind of have to get these rubber adapters, which you can find on Amazon. I'll try to link as much of these things below. So that it just fits in here, and now the mic's more secure, right? So short right angle XLR cables. I am actually trying to get a shorter, because this is about 12 feet or 12 inches. Actually, it's more than that. It's probably 16 inches. I want to get one that's about half the length that can just go from here to here. But for now, this is the one I have. And so that goes here, kind of wraps around here a couple of times. Try to push it as far forward as I can. And if I time it just right, I can get it. And that's nice and snug, all right? Cable's not in the way, everything's pretty decent. And then you need a 4A wind muff. We can do the Matbox. Now, some of the Matboxes are actually for show. This Matbox by SmallRig is the real deal. It actually is very good for a couple of reasons. The main reason is how easy, well, one of the reasons is how easily it fits onto the front of the lenses. And it says it here, it will fit lenses thread mount from 67 to 82 millimeters. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. Let me see, maybe, yeah. Like I said, it goes on the lens pretty easily. You will squeeze these tabs. I'll probably do a more in-depth review of this filter, but so let me just put it on. So it snaps on to the sides, and then you tighten the top. Feels nice and snug. And then I think this is the box part of the Matbox, right? The hood part. Now, carbon fiber, really nice to construct it. It also has a very nice filter tray, so you can pop this out. Has a little slide here, a little lever here. You push it, and it actually slides out the what's this, rectangular filters. Now this filter is from Newer. It is 0.9, which I think is about 3 stops. So when I'm shooting outdoors, the last shoot I did was an outdoor shoot. If I need more ND than what is offered in the variable ND, I will throw this in front, and then I can adjust based off of, you know, the exposure I need. Now this just sits here. And then it snaps in here, and that's on. All right, now that is my Matbox. Pretty nice, very convenient way to use variable NDs and a Matbox in one. Now, the rig is looking pretty decent, but an additional feature you need, which I should have done this, I actually should have put this on before the Matbox, is the focus puller. Can't get it on here. So what I'll do is release this rod, slide it back, slip it on, and then reposition that. So there we have it, focus puller or manual follow focus, however you want to call it. This is also from SmallRig, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, SmallRig. I'm telling you, SmallRig, y'all need to send me an email. Anyways, this is the 6-inch monitor by Viltrox. This, I think, is the DCX2. Yeah, there you go. There is a DCX3 that has SDI inputs. I did a review on this monitor. If you want to see, if you want to check that out, you can check the link on one of the top corners. You'll see that pop up. But it's camera monitor with a NATO to 1/4 inch friction arm. That's gonna slide on to the top here. And then typically, depending on what the angle is, I can adjust here, I can adjust here, I can adjust here, and tilt forward and back depending on where I need it. And then when I'm carrying it in the bag, I'm typically folding it down like this, locking it in. And this is how I transport or travel with it in the camera bag. And then it's just easy to maneuver. So yeah, that's the It's a monitor. I power it with a dummy NPF that takes DTAP from the V-mount. So let's go ahead and get that set up. The reason for using a dummy, because the monitor itself has DC input and USB input, but I find that the USB input is kind of unreliable based off of like just my personal use. It's sometimes just like you bump the USB cable and it's just unreliable. So I like running a DC, and then the DC port isn't a locking port, so if you bump that cable, the monitor shuts off. So this is a locking DC cable, so it tends to be most reliable. Condor Blue HDMI cable from the HDMI port. Then again, this clamp just clamps down on that cable, so it's nice and snug. You can literally put some weight on it and it's not coming out, and it's not disrupting your port, which you want to protect. And then we take right angle USB-C to C from the camera USB into the V-mount USB. This is the rig. Looks pretty good. Final piece, this is what do you call this? A cold shoe. This is a cold shoe. It has these little metal pieces that really secures my DJI wireless transmitter, because for whatever reason DJI refuses to make a cold shoe on their microphones that actually holds securely onto your camera's cold shoe. So this prevents that from happening. If I'm running wireless mic, I will slap the DJI wireless transmitter here, and then I will run a 3.5 millimeter cable into the top handle and get my audio in there. All right, two more missing pieces. So my side handle will snap on here in scenarios where I need a side handle. It's not a permanent fixture on the rig, just because it really increases the width of the camera, which makes it hard to go into the camera bag that I have. And I don't feel like it also does block the SD card port here. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, it does kind of block the port, so it's not a permanent fixture on the camera. Second piece of thing that goes on this camera, a lot of times, not all the time, but the Axum wireless transmitter. This goes onto the NATO rail on the side of the camera here. So typically it would make sense to have the transmitter kind of pointing out this way, but for me, I have found it's better to twist it around so the battery port is what's facing outside, and I'll show you why in a second. This is one of the things I like about this. Another thing I like about the smaller cage is it has a NATO rail built in on the side. So here, wireless transmitter, I will take an HDMI out from the monitor, and it goes into the transmitter. So transmitter goes here. Transmitter gets power from the V-mount from the 8-volt DC port, and then power goes here. So that's why I turn the transmitter facing the camera versus facing outward, because it's easier to get to the DC port here. I don't know if you can see that. DC port here, right? So this is the rig. This is the A camera and how it looks most of the times. Pretty nice, I think.